got the seed pods, I guess, and the stems out of this. And this is just the roasted chilies. I'm just gonna dice them up, kind of rough.
So you took the seeds out?
I took the ones, though you can see not all the seeds came out. I just kind of pulled the tops off, and if they were brown, I took the seeds out. Some of these were overripe. So I'm just gonna give them a kind of a rough dice, and then they go in with our tomatillos and cilantro and garlic and onions and smoky bacon-y stuff. Bacon and onions and ham hocks. And we're just going to stir that up a little bit.
There you go.
Oh, that smells good.
Yeah, that's not good. No.
And then I'm going to put the pork roast in there and cover it and put it in the oven for 6 or 8 hours at 200 or 220, and then I'm going to take it out and cube it up, and then we'll be pretty much done. Okay, so it's been about 8 hours actually, and we had to go do some stuff. So I'm sure this is very well done, and I'm just going to let it rest for a while and then take the beef out and cube it up and take the bones out. It might just fall apart and shred, which either way it'll be good. And this is the green version. Let's see if it's... Yeah, it's falling apart. As you can see, it just pulls apart. So I might just pull it apart, depending on how it works. But then we'll adjust the seasonings and maybe have to add some honey to this one, and we'll see what it looks like when it's done. I forgot that I had this steak. It's leftover ribeye steak that I had in the fridge, and they were going to go bad, so I basically just seared them up and cubed them up and seared them, and with some little bit of garlic and salt and pepper. And it doesn't look very appetizing right now because it's been in the fridge, but I'm going to put the red chili in. Actually, I'm going to put this into that after I have the red the beef cubed up. So, and then let it simmer, I guess. So that's where we are on that. What do you think? Not so chaotic now, huh? Now that the kids are in bed, we're on their way to bed. So, let's see if I take this out of here, if I can pick it up. Yeah, it's just breaking apart, so it'll be very easy to get the bones out of it. That looks good. Oh boy, that is making my mouth water already. This is a 7-bone chuck roast. You can do it with anything you want, but I usually use chuck for this because it's got a lot of good connective tissue to fall apart and dissolve and make it really tender. So I'm just gonna take this out and then basically just kind of cut it up into smaller pieces with the knife and then put it back in. Get the bigger pieces of fat or whatever you can recognize as such. And then there's the bones from the ham hock and stuff that's still in there. You can take those out. Maybe that was one of the 7 bones of the 7-bone roast. I can't tell really at this point. You can tell that stuff is... There's another bone right there. That's one of the ham hock bones. So that's pretty much the chili base, and then you just put the meat back in it, and you got your red chili. I think I'm going to put some, I usually need to put a little bit of sweet in there to combat the heat a little bit, and may or may not need more salt. I didn't put much salt in it, but that's a lot of meat and a lot of stuff to season, so hopefully I got all the bones out. You can kind of feel around and see if you got anything particularly hard in there, but most of what's in there remaining is just little bits of meat and chili and stuff. So that's what we're going to be doing. Is I'm just going to run my knife through these. I can kind of just pull them apart really, but so we'll do that and then put them back in to the pot, and then we'll adjust the seasoning. We'll do the same thing with this pork roast over here. Now for the pork, I don't put any sweet in it because the green chili verde shouldn't be sweet. It should be kind of tangy from the tomatillos. It kind of naturally is anyway. You can see that this thing is just falling apart like the other one is. After 8 hours at 220, anything's going to fall apart. So, especially if it's been in the, that's a big hunk of bone. Just going to throw that right in the garbage. And this is just kind of falling apart also. Which you can, if you prefer the sort of fork pull apart pieces, you can sort of just flake it with a fork, kind of make a shredded chili verde. The last couple times I've done this, I've taken it out and cubed it up as best I could. I usually take it out about 4 or 6 hours, and then you can actually cut it up into cubes because it hasn't really dissolved all the connective tissue yet, and then put it back in and let it go, and it kind of gets more tender that way, but you can still recognize the chunks, and it's kind of nice that way. But this one, we had to leave the house, like I said, and so it's very well done, but it's going to be really good. That's just amazingly tender still. So I'm going to leave those guys. I think it's just little bits of pork, and you can see that it's still kind of green. There's a ham hock bone I'm going to take out. There's a little bit of pink from the ham hocks and the smoked ham hocks. And you can still see sort of the pieces of chili, roasted chilies or peppers or whatever you want to call them. That's actually not a bone, that's part of the pork ham hock, so I'm going to leave that. Alright, so slice this up and into little smaller pieces and put it back in. Alright, so I've basically just pulled that beef apart. I wouldn't really slice, but I just kind of pulled it apart with my knife. Put the steak pieces back in there, and I've been taking this pork apart, but it's so good I feel like I want to eat the whole thing. Here, you want some, Kitty? What do you think? Yeah? It is phenomenally good. This pork roast is just, oh man, it's like candy. So basically I'm just trying to slice the big muscle groups across the grain if possible, but you don't really, it kind of just falls apart, so at this point. So just try to get it into reasonable sized pieces. No, that's good.